We've got ones that can see. Welcome everybody to my new YouTube channel, Ones That Can See, and I'm assuming if you're here, you are one who can in fact see. And today I want to discuss some of the things that we saw at the Super Bowl. Usually I do a breakdown of all the different events one by one that occurred during the Super Bowl, but I think as we've gotten older and all of us have gotten deeper in truth, there's really not a huge point in going through every little detail of what we see at the Super Bowl, but it is important to pay attention to it because we see all the Masonic symbolism involved. We see all the propaganda in the commercials that are pushing future agendas and conditioning people into what they need to be conditioned into for their future enslavement. So the Super Bowl is the most watched show in America. Again, as I've said numerous times, 1/3 of the population tunes in, and a lot of them tune in for the commercial more so than the game, or at least the halftime show as well. So I want to break down these events for you. It's important to pay attention to it. They're subtle, but they're right in our faces. So you start with, of course, before the game between the nauseating Philadelphia Eagles and the Kansas City Chiefs, and you could see deliberately right in front of you Saquon Barkley of the Eagles and Jalen Hurts of the Eagles standing where? Right on top of a black and white Masonic checkerboard floor. And that wasn't done spontaneously. They didn't say, hey, do we have any flooring we could put in here? Because we need a floor underneath them. Well, don't we already have some type of a floor? Well, I want to cover that for it, black and white. What does that have to do with the Eagles or the Chiefs? Well, it doesn't have anything. This is to do with Freemasonry. Oh, right. Well, I guess it makes sense then if you actually know the history of the NFL and Freemasonry, why they put it there, right? For anyone that doesn't know, Walter Camp is known as the father of American football. And does anybody know who Walter Camp is? Well, I'll tell you who Walter Camp is, as I've mentioned before in previous videos in the past, which obviously have been scrubbed from the platform. Walter Camp was a member of Skull and Bones, the secret society at Yale, the same secret society that is notorious for the Bush family, who are responsible for really many of the atrocities you've seen across the United States of America. Of course, we had Prescott Bush, who was Skull and Bones. We had George Bush Sr. We have George Bush Jr., right? George Bush Sr., one of the presidents who openly would constantly reference the New World Order and how you didn't have a choice. We were headed towards a New World Order. And of course, George Bush Jr., who played his role and participation in the events that happened on that 11th day of September. There's other bonesmen, obviously, but Skull and Bones is the most known secret society at these Ivy League schools. All the Ivy League universities, understand this, have their own Skull and Bones. There's also Lock and Key at Yale. There's tons of schools that have their own secret societies. I've covered a lot of them in the past, but Skull and Bones being the most prominent. So the National Football League, of course, was really a creation of Skull and Bones, and that goes along with the narrative of bread and circuses, right? That the big distraction that football is and what sports have become, and how people take their energy and their anger and they put it into sports, and they're more passionate about their sports teams than they are about actual events that the government is manipulating around their own lives. And another coincidence, I'm sure, with the NFL is that their extra point happens to be 33 yards. They recently changed their extra point, which takes place after every single touchdown. You could go for two, you could kick an extra point. I'd say 90% of the time, 95% of the time, they kick an extra point. They made sure to put it on that 33-yard line. They could have picked any number. They could have done 32. They could have done 30. They could have been 25-yard line. It had to be 33. So let's take a look at some of the festivities that occurred, including the propaganda in the commercials at the Super Bowl. Donald Trump was in attendance. That's the big thing that MAGA will talk about after the Super Bowl. They won't break down what the government's trying to sell you through their propaganda ads. They'll just break down the fact that Donald Trump was there and he got cheered, and Taylor Swift was there and got booed. And that's the big talk for the alt-right media today because, again, keeping the people dumbed down and caring about non-issues and just things that should not have, they should have zero care about who gets cheered and who gets booed. But that's really the thinking that these people are stuck inside of. So we'll take a quick look here at the halftime show. It was by far the worst halftime show ever, and I was relieved that it wasn't overly filled with Illuminati signs and symbols, so I didn't have to actually break each thing down, which I was planning on doing, which I do every single year. But they kind of went easy on the halftime show with not actually being easy because they literally were showing you a huge X, which of course is a symbol I've broken down many times. The Antichrist, Osiris, the X, the arms across the chest symbol with the X. We see the celebrities like Madonna always wearing an X on their eye patch or on their clothing or tattoos of an X. Of course, you now see how Twitter has switched its name over to X. You have the Antichrist tie-in with the mark of the beast. The X marks the spot, is what they say, right? And the symbolism is there deliberately, as well as them showing you at the end of this performance, game over. Because guess what? It is game over. That's truth in plain sight. Now, as we know how sheeple are, the sheeple will see something like that and they'll say it has to do with Kendrick Lamar having a beef with Drake. Like 95% of the population have any idea about Drake or Kendrick Lamar. I'm pretty sure the majority of the population never even heard of Kendrick Lamar, even though he gets all his satanic Grammys. At least this year, he got a ton of satanic Grammys. I covered the Grammys and did a video on it, so I know that video, of course, has been removed along with the channel. But they think that this is how they communicate, right? They put all of this money into this, and then he's going to troll Drake. And this is the simple level thinking, right? But they're really sending a message to humanity. Game over, right? Because one of the main themes of the Super Bowl was artificial intelligence and how there's no escape from AI and Starlink, which I'm about to show you. But again, it was one of the worst halftime shows ever. I mean, I don't know, and I'm glad it wasn't filled with over the top stuff, but I don't know, what people even consider music anymore, but I guess to each their own. So Kendrick Lamar did the halftime show. We saw the X symbolism, the game over symbolism, which had nothing to do with the game over because of a rap beef, as if the National Football League and all these advertisers were going to put all of these millions of dollars into this so that he could talk about a rap beef that nobody on earth even really knows anything about. So then we got Lady Bartback, who always seems to show up at the Super Bowl because they wanted to, of course, do a little ritual for the event that they did on Bourbon Street. Remember that event on New Year's Day that they created on Bourbon Street, and the guy had so conveniently had that flag placed in the back of his truck. Remember that? So Lady Gaga performed a song on Bourbon Street, and I wanted to point it out because, of course, Lady Gaga's inside of a ritual circle, right? Nobody ever notices why they constantly show us the magic circle. They think about, when they see a movie like The Craft, these witches are always in a circle, right? They got the pentagram and they're on the outside of the circle. It's their protection circle, right? We even see CERN showing us this magic circle, this ritual circle in the CERN commercial. So they had to give us an aerial shot so we could see that. They're always performing it. The Grammy stage always has that, and that is done by design because this was a ritual that took place on New Year's Day. And I covered in a separate video before I get into all the new stuff, the new videos, the new commercials, I should say. I covered the glasses, how they're trying to condition you now with the wearable glasses so you could see the brain-computer interface, the BCI, that the future will be when people have technology inside their bodies. You're going to have a BCI, a brain-computer interface. The same way you look at your phone and you could see, oh, there's my mail, there's my music, there's my internet browser, there's my camera. These are things that are going to be visible through your Oculus when this is implanted in you. So this wearable tech is conditioning. I did it in a separate video, and this was one of the big commercials that they aired during the Super Bowl. Now, let's get down to some of the big ones out there, because of course we had Starlink, right? We had Elon Musk and Starlink. There are rumors that Elon Musk was going to put up big commercials about all the stuff that Doge is doing so that the audience out there can get even more angry about where their tax money is going. Of course, we know that that's a government psyop, them telling you where your tax money is actually going. And really what you've done is funded underground cities as well as the traffic that goes on underground too. But what they did air was this. This is a commercial about Starlink. And pay attention to how they say that Starlink you will never ever lose connectivity. That's what they tell you in this commercial. You'll never lose connectivity. You will automatically have Starlink no matter where you go, no matter who your carrier is. And of course, you could switch your carrier and join over to T-Mobile for free. Because remember, when the government, which of course, DARPA, we know the government's responsible for all this technology. These aren't tech tycoons coming out with this fallen angel technology releasing it to you. They're just corporations. So it makes the transition easy for you to think you're going and buying this stuff and giving your free will up to have this tech. This is government-created tech, okay? So T-Mobile's the one that they chose here, but they tell you it's free, right? Just remember always when the government gives something away for free, what it really has to do with? Remember the last time they were giving you lap dances, Arby gift cards, free drinks, you name it. All they wanted you to do was poison yourself. Well, here they are telling you that you could switch over for free because they don't care about money. They care about making sure you're fully connected to the internet. Here's Starlink.
There are over 500,000 square miles of the U.S. unreachable by any cell phone tower. Places where emergency texts never send, where emotional messages are not received, and countless memories are left unshared.
Doing good. You're doing good.
But T-Mobile is about to change that. T-Mobile partnered with Starlink to launch hundreds of satellites, creating the only space-based network that automatically connects to the phone you already have. And because connection means everything, we're inviting anyone on any wireless carrier to experience it for free.
You won't believe where I am right now.
T-Mobile Starlink. If you can see the sky, you're connected.
So again, the thing to note in that commercial was how they talked about how you'll never go offline. You'll always be connected automatically thanks to these quote unquote satellite balloons that are up in the air. And remember, Elon Musk, so think about these two things if you're trying to understand this, or you're at least trying to say, right, but what's the correlation between brain-computer interface that you discuss all the time with Elon Musk and the phone going into your body, right? Elon Musk is telling you that smartphones will become obsolete, right? Doesn't he not saying that? He says it right here in this article. He's done many interviews. Phones will be obsolete. BCIs like Neuralink are the way forward. So then why is Elon Musk going out of his way to get all of these satellites up to make sure you're connected? If we're not going to have phones anymore, what are we going to have? Well, you're going to be connected up because the technology is going to be in your body, right? Things like Neuralink will be underneath your skin, embedded in you, in your genetic code, changing what you are, changing what it means to be a human. So I think it's just a real easy way to wake people up to what they're trying to do. Show them that commercial, right? And how they're saying, hey, you'll never go offline. You'll always be connected. We'll be able to find you wherever. Trying to flip it by telling you that, well, if you're in the middle of Death Valley or somewhere where there's no cell service, you don't have to worry anymore, right? Even though the odds are pretty much 0% you're going to be standing in the middle of Death Valley needing cell service. This makes people feel like this is great. Oh, good, in case I get in an accident, right? Because people are so scared, so nervous. They think that they can't live without their phone. Like I said, if people go out of their house and they forget their phone and they're an hour away, they'll turn around and go back and get their phone. They're that dependent on the phone. So they hear it's like, that's great. And really it's not about safety. And these people know that. Well, they just need their entertainment. They need their internet. They need to text. They need to talk. They need to do all these things and stay entertained 24/7, right? So they see that and they think it's absolutely wonderful. So they're telling you, look, you'll never go offline. But at the same time, Elon Musk is the so-called creator of Starlink, even though DARPA is. And he's also telling you that smartphones are going to be obsolete. But BCIs like Neuralink are the way forward. So he's telling you there won't be phones anymore, that you'll become the phone. And literally what you're seeing in that commercial is Skynet. And it's not a joke. And anyone out there that laughs is like, he's saying it's like Terminator. Well, you describe it for me then. You describe what you saw in Terminator and what you're seeing now. You're seeing the same exact thing. Even if you ask AI itself what Skynet is. Ask Google. Skynet, the fictional artificial intelligence system in the Terminator film franchise. It's also the name of a U.S. national security agency, the NSA program, that analyzes communications data to identify potential terrorist suspects, which of course is anybody who's maybe if you're on the run or you're on the loose and no, not from committing some atrocity, you might be on the run because you don't agree with what the government's doing and they're trying to arrest you just for questioning what they're doing, like trying to get computer chips inside of your children's bodies. And again, in the movie Terminator, Skynet is a fictional artificial neural network. Neuralink, okay? Based conscious group mind and artificial general superintelligence system that serves as the main antagonist of the Terminator franchise. So you're seeing it built out around you. Let's move on. Then we have this commercial because they tie in. I'm going to show you this commercial now. And this is how they obviously do it. We all know this. We're all aware how they subtly do stuff using comedy, showing you the truth in plain sight, right? So here's a commercial with Tom Brady, right? Tom Brady shuts down in the commercial because his batteries have died, right? talking about transhumanism and how they come over and put some new batteries in Tom Brady to charge him up. Look.
All right, Tom, your thoughts?
Yeah, well,
Tom. Step aside.
Who put these in, Tom? Only Duracell has power boost ingredients. That's why winners like Tom here only run on Duracell.
Tom, are you okay?
why does everyone keep asking me that since the roast?
I gotta go, Gronk's down again.
So, of course, this is their subtle way of getting you prepared for transhumanism. Most people forget in the movie The Matrix, there's so many things in The Matrix, right? But one of the scenes that always gets overlooked is the battery scene because nobody can grasp it, right? Turning you into this, turning you into a battery. But that's exactly what they're doing. Because remember, you're going to have a phone inside of you. You're going to be the battery that charges that phone. It's no different than some of the tech that we've seen with how, a pacemaker works inside of somebody's body. How does the pacemaker work? Well, some of them have batteries inside of it, but some of them are pacemakers that harvest energy from the body that actually recharge the battery. And that's what it will be. Your body will be charging this type of tech. And of course, your diet and things like that will play a factor. If you notice how obsessed they are with changing your diet away from meat and into a lot of these things they create in a laboratory, which you won't even know what you're consuming because they'll just flavor it. So you think you're eating something that's plant-based, right? But the battery inside you will be powered by all of this crap that they try to force you into eating since they've gotten control of the food supply chain. And there's articles out there, humans are finally entering into the battery era, and humans can, of course, act as batteries to power wearable electronics through research into thermoelectric generators and radio frequency energy transfer. So that's why they show you Tom Brady doing that. The majority of people don't get it. They're like, oh, they're saying Tom Brady's a robot because he's such a good football player. He's like a robot. He's like a machine, right? You ever hear that kind of, how they just dupe these sheeple into stuff like that? Oh, they're just saying Tom Brady's running on robots because he's such a good athlete. It's almost like he's not even human. Well, a lot of these humans are created in laboratories. A lot of them are experiments of eugenics. So I see a lot of these freakish looking athletes with wingspans like what they tell us a pterodactyl would have, right? So Tom Brady, again, we have transhumanism there, and Tom Brady, a perfect guy to select. I've covered Tom Brady. Those videos are also available on the website where Brady openly talks about his wife being a witch, his former wife, and the rituals they perform before the Super Bowls that help him win. And of course, Tom Brady referred to as what? The GOAT, somebody else who's normalized the greatest of all time, but really normalizing the GOAT in our society. So here's another one that caught my attention, where they're talking about how all celebrities are actually aliens or, reptilians or whatever you want to call them, how all these celebrities aren't really what you actually think. And they're at Area 51, right? Here's a little truth in plain sight.
We've made contact with a new alien species, and apparently they're foodies.
You're saying the pan I use to fry my bacon is made out of flying saucers?
We don't have time for a science lesson, Mr. Ramsey. The alien ambassador is already here.
Whoa.
Not her. Him.
Hey, what's up, dude? You're an alien?
All famous people are aliens.
I'm not.
I meant like really famous people.
So of course they use humor, right? They talk about how these celebrities aren't really celebrities. They're not really human beings. And I think a lot of us, maybe in the beginning of our awakening process, we're thinking, well, that's kind of a crazy dip in conspiracy. Because when you first wake up, it's hard to really think that there's clones. Those are some of the hard things in the beginning. Masks and doubles and things like that. But as you get deeper in your awakening, you realize, hey, you know what? These people might not be human, and they actually talk and even say things that would make you think that they aren't human, right? I mean, here's just some clips of them openly in public. Bill Gates, Nancy Pelosi talking about how they're actually reptilian.
Bill Gates is a shape-shifting lizard, part of the reptilian race that includes Tom Hanks and Lady Gaga. These lizard people are secretly exerting global control. Someone mentioned this one to me. I didn't know we had Tom Hanks in on it, though. I mean, that's great.
They didn't know what they were talking about. We know we're different from the presidential. We're very discreet, reptilian, cold-blooded. These are the races we have to win.
You know, of course she was going to say that, but...
Poor baby.
Yeah, she's really, really committed to that. It's really sad.
No, I'm not a poor baby. I'm more reptilian, cold-blooded, and go in to win the election.
We're going to take a short break. I want to talk to you more about President Biden and some other things.
Thank you. We're different from the presidential. We're very discreet, reptilian. No, I'm not a poor baby. I'm more reptilian.
Right, so how's that for truth in plain sight? Now, we'll move on to AI. AI, of course, is the common theme because they're normalizing AI. This is a commercial for ChatGPT, and I'm playing it for you so that you could see how they mix in, horses to farming and how technology is going to advance all of this stuff. But if you don't pay close attention, you might miss how they show you your DNA in there, right? Because that's a big part of all of this. Look.
Summarize this article. Help me practice asking for a raise.
Act as my sleep coach.
What bird is this? Actúa como mi tutor.
Turn my idea into a business plan.
What do you want to create next?
So, of course, the majority of people see that and they're like, wow, look, they're showing us all this stuff, like how computers went from that, remember that sound, that modem sound, that slow dial-up to how fast the internet is now? Yeah. Well, why don't you explain why they show your genetic code, right? Because they're planning on altering your genetics. And you're a part of this AI plan, and you don't even realize it yet. That gene editing and artificial intelligence and getting this technology inside of your body is the major part of this AI movement that we're seeing, right? So they subtly put that in. Now, I have to cover this real quick because each year I've covered He Gets Us, all of us, these Jesus commercials. And I feel like a lot of Christians don't necessarily love these commercials because they give like a message of, tolerance. You're supposed to love everything and accept everything. The majority of them do eat it up because they're going, it's just great that they put something out there about Jesus so everybody could see, right? Well, these are the types of commercials that actually would probably either take people away from God or make them just lukewarm because the message is always very lukewarm. And remember, you have to be approved. You don't just have all this money to get a Super Bowl ad. People are like, it costs $10 million, $20 million for a Super Bowl ad. Well, if me and you got $10 or $20 million for a Super Bowl ad to put up a commercial for my channel, which of course we wouldn't be able to do that because you have to film it in advance. And by the time the commercial came out, the channel would likely be deleted. But if we were hypothetically to do that for the website, let's say, they look at that. They would not allow it. They wouldn't allow you to say, I'll give you $40 million to put it up. You wouldn't be approved to put your commercial up. That's one of the deceptions out there. They pay for this. So Kanye paid, so they let him put. Yeah, the Kanye commercials are out there because it just shows you how dumbed down society is. They're like, Kanye's crazy. Look at his weird commercial. People like me and you, there's a lot of people with a lot of money. People like me and you don't have a lot of money, but there's a lot of people with a lot of money that wouldn't be able to air a commercial even if they had it. And somehow if we all got money together to air a commercial about truth, to say the left-right paradigm was a scam, they would never air it, right? So look at this commercial, and I'm showing you this specifically because they played Depeche Mode's Own Personal Jesus, which is a blasphemous song, which shows you how ridiculous this is. Anybody out there that thinks that the Depeche Mode song is paying homage to Jesus, your own personal Jesus, think again. It is not about... None of us have our own, having your own personal Jesus as a human being. There's the message is that be your own Jesus, that you're God-like. That's what the message is from the Depeche Mode, right? That's what they even openly admit, that, you can have your own personal Jesus in this world. Well, they're not talking about having a personal relationship with Jesus. What they're talking about is you being a Jesus to someone else, AKA also known as you being your own God, which is what they teach in all of these secret societies, that you are your own God. So here is this clip playing your own personal Jesus. I mean, this is just ridiculous.
Your own personal Jesus. Someone to hear your prayers, someone who's there. Reach out and touch faith.
Right. And of course, the song is by Johnny Cash. Johnny Cash, the famous musician. People don't know Johnny Cash was a Shriner, just like all the other famous musicians are a part of this, whether you like their music or not. It's time to accept it. They're all in on it. Even on Johnny Cash's official website, performing at a Masonic temple. They even have a video of that up. Now, I'm going to move into 2 more ads here because this one just drove me absolutely nuts. These commercials about blocking and stopping the hate, right? Well, this one specifically with these government shills, Tom Brady and Snoop Dogg. Listen to what they say about hate. I don't like you because you're different. I don't like you because you're skin color, right? And then saying, you know, this is so stupid. Why do we all fight, right? The reasons for hate are as stupid as they sound. Look.
I hate you because we're from different neighborhoods.
I hate you because you look different.
I hate you because I don't understand you.
I hate you because people I know hate you.
I hate you because I think you hate me.
Because I need someone to blame.
Because you talk different.
Because you act different.
Because you're just different. Man, I hate that things are so bad that we have to do a commercial about it.
Me too.
Yeah, the reasons for hate are as stupid as they sound because you know why people hate one another? Think no further than the media, controlled by the government and the propaganda that they put out every day to divide us. That's why people hate one another, because they tell you and train you and teach you to hate somebody who doesn't vote the same way that you vote, or somebody who might have blue hair that you might think is involved in something that you don't like. They train us to hate one another. Then they come out and say, block the hate. And ultimately what this is all about is censorship. Block the hate. Report the hate, right? Report the hate. 1984. Anybody out there you see that, you know, is being hateful to someone else, come to our website and report it to us like the ADL and everything else, and we'll make sure we arrest them. Just like I covered what's going on in Australia right now. Oh, that's a hateful sign that you're holding up. That's a hateful sign you have in your lawn. Oh, you're not going to be fined for that. You're going to go to prison for that. Yeah, there's people who commit absolute atrocities, abominations of crime, of, you know, these events that they do that don't serve jail time, right? There's people who get behind the wheel and kill other people, who crash their cars because they're intoxicated or high or something like that, that end up getting manslaughter, sometimes even walking, right? But if you have a sign in your lawn that we don't agree with, you're going to go to jail. So they push this stuff about the hate, and they're the ones who are responsible for it. And last but not least, I want to play this commercial. This was looked at as the best commercial during the Super Bowl. And of course, it revolved around making fun of conspiracy. So there's Matthew McConaughey, another Mason, and a bunch of other Satanists in the commercial. I think Kim Kardashian's even in a suit in the commercial, where they're talking about how football is a conspiracy, right? To get people to eat. Oh, we came up with football to get people to eat food to sell product. Now, every time they do something like this where they joke about conspiracies, where they say, oh, you know, it just desensitizes people more and more to actual conspiracies. So even what I mentioned in the beginning of the video, the origins of the NFL and Skull and Bones, right? The origin of American football. Hearing something like this would make them automatically dismiss something like I said earlier, right? Oh, everything's a conspiracy. That whole notion that we have now in our society, that everything's a conspiracy. This feeds right into it. It's cheap, it's not funny, but the sheep will love it and find it funny. And it really just programs them into more of a mindset of everything's a conspiracy, which is the new motto that the government uses whenever somebody brings up something that the government's actually doing. Now, not everything's a conspiracy. Oh, everything's a conspiracy to these people, right? Look at this.
It has been a banner year for the National Football League. Or should I call it the National Football League?
From the very beginning, football has been a conspiracy to make us hungry.
How come we only play on Sundays?
Because nobody's eating ice cream Saturdays. Packers were named after meat packers.
So what's we call the fans, Coach?
Cheeseheads.
The championship will be a super cup.
Can't eat out of a cup, Ted, but a bowl?
Super Bowl!
And we'll start naming players after appliances.
Hey, Coach, do I have to be called refrigerator?
Yes. This year, we're not even hiding it anymore. We have Super Bowl licks with a halftime show presented by an apple. In a stadium named after a salad. Yeah. Hey.
Sorry, you want me to make a movie about a football conspiracy?
Yes.
No.
Come on, Greta.
No.
Bacon's in.
Everybody loves bacon.
No one believes that football is just some conspiracy to sell
food. When football makes you hungry, order Uber Eats.
So again, that's done by design. It's a subliminal way to condition people into not looking into conspiracies, believing conspiracies, then thinking, of course, that all conspiracies are something like that Uber Eats commercial, a gigantic joke. So to recap what we saw obviously the Masonic floor deliberately displayed. I showed you the connections to Walter Camp. We saw the halftime show with the giant X symbol. They show you that aerial shot by design. They do those things strategically, right? Game over in the crowd as they market the entire Super Bowl, AI and the mark of the beast, really. That's what they show you. Game over. It is game over for humanity, not Drake, as some of the sheeple will tell you. That Lady Gaga performing, of course, a little ritual on Bourbon Street, thanks to the ritual they did a couple of weeks ago, just topping it off inside of a ritual circle, right? You had your Ray-Ban commercial that I discussed. You have your Starlink, getting you ready for Starlink, telling you that you'll never go offline. You'll always be connected to Starlink, right? Tom Brady with batteries in his body, right? Ha, 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 ha. While they're telling you at the same time that cell phones are going to be obsolete. Well, cell phones are obsolete and a phone is in your body. How's that phone going to charge? Oh, right. You're going to become the battery just like in the Matrix. You have mention, of course, of how everyone in Hollywood is an alien or a reptilian hinting at, right? You had your AI showing your DNA genetic code. You had your, once again, ridiculous Christian ad, which to me doesn't lead anyone to Christ. I mean, people out there can say what they want. I can have my own opinion on it. If you think that's going to lead people to Christ, go ahead, think that. I mean, people say for me to think that my channel will get somebody to pick up a Bible is crazy, and I know that people have from my channel. So, hey, maybe it does work for some, but I only pointed it out specifically because of the blasphemous, your own personal Jesus playing in the background. It shows you how in your face it is or how out of touch, lukewarm, and tone deaf this company is by putting that song in there, showing you, oh, look, you could be like Jesus. Go up to somebody and hug them. Go up to somebody and care about them. Go up to somebody and love on them, right? It's a lukewarm message. I don't remember Jesus going up to the Pharisees and kissing them on the neck, right? I don't remember Jesus saying, hey, you're doing what with the child? You're doing what kind of an act? Oh, come here, give me a hug. I love you, right? But that's, of course, part of the messaging in today's society. And all these lukewarm organizations continue to make Christianity lukewarm. The song, of course, not performed by Depeche Mode, to performed by the Shriner Johnny Cash. You get your hate commercial with Snoop Dogg and Tom Brady. Block the hate, stop the hate, but we're responsible for all the hate and division. Don't notice that, by the way, right? And then your conspiracy ad, which is just a cheap attempt at humor, but they know what they're doing, right? By using humor, tying in conspiracy and the notion that everything is a conspiracy, it continues to desensitize the sheep to the simulation that they're living inside of. So that's it for the Super Bowl. I thank everybody for being here. I hope you're all doing well. God bless you and your families as always.